Welcome back to our Money Mindset Mentors. We are so excited to have you with us to be talking about money matters for him. So we have that beautiful lens of how can we do this in a higher, better way than just cha-ching, cha-ching. And especially during the holidays, can we just all admit that it is so annoying to have to talk about all this financial stuff. And at the same time, you're having this discussion about how to be present, how to be thinking of, for Christmas, thinking about Jesus and thinking about being kind to your neighbors. And then you're like, oh, but where are we going to get the money for X, Y, and Z? No, it is a conundrum. We're going to talk about that conundrum today. How much do you do in your gift giving to family members, young adult children? How do you navigate that? How do you navigate the slowing down of the season, both in life and with real estate? And how do you navigate being able to reflect on your money journey of what you've done with money this year and what was the good, the bad, the ugly, and what do you want to do differently? So we got so many juicy things today. Let's just jump right in with our usual wonderful people, Rachel, Amy, and Amanda. I'm going to go ahead and go first this time, talking about gift giving to your young adult children. Okay, hit me up. What is a good amount to give to your children? Because I'm walking this line of they're trying to be independent and do their thing, and I'm trying to be supportive, and you can do this, you got this. And also, oh my gosh, they have rent and they have things and it's hard. And then, oh, they want to give to their family members, but I know they don't have a lot. And you could home make the gifts, but they don't want to do that. So what do you recommend? Any tips and tools for what's a good way to go about it and how much?
I'll jump in and go first. I am right there with you, Connie. This is the first year that all my children are adult children. And I'm thinking the same thing. And as I've asked them, what do you want? Every one of them have replied to me, money, of course. We want money. And so I've been thinking about this too. And I've determined two things. One, the amount. I don't know if I want to say because I think my daughter watches this, so I don't know if I want to say that amount. Yes. But it's a good amount, I feel. And then, but next year I'm going to be even wiser. So next year they will all get an RIA. So I'm going to start their investment for them. In that, I'm thinking $2,000 for startup. And that's what they're going to get. And then every year I'll add to that, or, that's kind of where I'm thinking that I want to start rolling over how much cash they're going to be getting for holidays.
I love that. And I think you mean an IRA. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. What did I say?
An IRA, but RIA, it's a whole new spin on it, people. It's the same thing. But I love that idea because then you're giving them that leg up, right? And we did a college fund for kids when they were younger so that it could springboard them in the future. And that came into really a good play later on. Of course, they were whiny at the time, but then it comes in play later. I love it. Amy, Rachel, any thoughts on this?
My kids are still little. So I have a 10-year, I guess little is, I guess a little relative, but my kids are 10 and 8. And so for me, obviously my kids they actually both asked for money this year. But they still have little things that they want, little being like a PlayStation or, you know what I mean? So that's kind of for me, Christmas was not a big deal at my house. And so I don't know if I have a little bit, I don't know if my, the way that we do it is a little bit skewed, but we grew up with only homemade gifts, for the family. We were allowed to ask for 3 things total every year. And I just think we knew that we were poor. And so Christmas was it was just not a huge deal. So I feel like I do my best to buy something that's kind of bigger, maybe the Xbox, for example, the PlayStation or whatever. And then that's kind of a shared gift. And then they kind of get each little gifts to open. But right now where they're still littler, it's a lot easier to just still buy things that's fun to open versus your kids don't care about opening things when they get older. They just want something they want money. They want to be able to use that in a way that they want. But I think, I don't know, Amanda, how you do it, if it's a percentage or if you kind of decide that way. For us, we always just kind of set a little budget at the beginning and then just kind of try and do the big gift and then small gifts within that budget, but try not to go too overboard. Just, it wasn't a big deal for us growing up. And so I don't know, maybe that kills the magic for us. I don't know.
I love that you had mostly homemade gifts. I remember doing leather bracelet from my sister in the wood shop, you know. And I
Yep.
remember I was so excited when she opened it because I hand stamped it, and it was like Spartacus bracelet, you guys.
Seriously.
It was
Yeah.
awful. And she
Mhm.
opened it up and she was like, ew. And I just remember that, like, homemade gifts, no. But I
No.
love the idea of a bigger gift, right? And then the sub gifts, because what I see happen with a lot of moms, and I've done it myself, is one, you forget what you got the kids. So then you're like, does everybody have enough? And then you start piling them out and you're like, oh, Susie doesn't have enough, or they've got a whole bunch. How did they get a whole bunch? And you also start feeling like, well, if they've got a big, like one big gift, like an Xbox or something, then it's like, well, they just have like one or two gifts to open. And we think of the number of gifts, right? But it's a crazy dang gift.
Yeah.
So I think it's such a good thing to be able to share with your kids in a non-Santa Grinching way, but be able to share, like as my kids have gotten older, I've been able to say, look, I love you. My young adult children, this is how much you're getting for Christmas. Send me links. I want to get exactly what you would like, and I'm happy to wrap it. And we can celebrate when you open it because you'll probably forget what you got. But setting that budget, and then they can decide as young adults, oh, this is what's the most important to me. And if they want some in cash and they want something that's closed, great, then I know exactly what it is. I have just struggled a little bit recently with just, well, then how much do I give? And what's fairsies, right? When we don't really play fairsies, but what's fairsies for the amount to give and what's helpful, and not setting a precedence that, oh, mom's going to come through for me in December. So
Right.
I have some fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Rachel, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's so funny because right before this, I was on the phone with my daughter who's married, and she was stressing out a little bit because they're moving back to the Provo area in just a few weeks. And so, you know, since they're married, I try not to kind of overstep my bounds. But one of the things that she called about, she's like, Mom, why is moving so expensive? And why are moving trucks so expensive? And I tried to just kind of have a smile on my face, like I'm on the phone, you know, but I'm like, oh, God. And I tried my hardest not to like try to fix it all, right? Like I was so tempted to be like, oh, it's Christmas time. Like, I'll just kind of forego your gifts or whatever, and let me just take care of it. Because I was like, we've been talking about, we want our kids to learn and to figure things out on their own sometimes. And so it's funny that you brought that up, because now in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Because I wanted to do a big experience. Yeah. Like I wanted to do a big experience with all of the kids and like go on a big vacation. But now I'm like, I got to talk to my husband, because is that really going to benefit them? And where they're really in this, you know, it's this spot that they really could use some like just green bucks, you know? So
it's so true. And I don't know about you guys also saying, well, I could just hand over cash every Christmas and it would so help them, but it's not providing an experience together, right? And so trying to find the balance of both of, well, I can give you some cash, and this is what we're doing to create a memory making experience. And if you want to be a part of it, great. And if you don't, that's fine. But this is how we're rolling. And I think that comes back to what I'm hearing from you ladies is what my gut's been telling me, which is you're the mom. So figure out what you want to do. And I think that's helping me to be able to say, you know what? I can do partial cash, but this is also another thing. Like one of them, I know they need a kitchen appliance, and I'm like, you know, I'm going to get them the kitchen appliance, and it's pricey, but I know it'll last them forever. But I really do think there is this balance between the cash and the experience. And I think both are valid. So I love, Rachel, that you're thinking of that, because what that could look like for listeners and for ourselves is, well, maybe we scale back that family vacation or trip or experience, and we scale it back, and then we give everybody a little bit extra cash and say, that's how it's looking for this year. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned in the last few months is what's it going to be best for this Christmas, whatever that song starts coming into mind is track this Christmas, but thinking about it of what's the situation we're dealing with this year, not cookie cutter and say, well, every year we do blah, but what do we need to do for this year to make this financially and emotionally a good experience? So thank you so much, ladies. All right. Any last thoughts? And then we're going to move on. All right. Beautiful. Okay, Amy, we're going to jump to you. Thank you so much. This has helped me to know what I'm going to do. All right. So I don't become a Grinch, but I'm not like, ah. All right, Amy, talk to us about the slowing down. We've talked about, just before we got on, about people are starting kind of check out. Have you felt it? Like you're
Mhm.
just kind of like, I can't take anymore.
Yeah.
When's time for pajamas and the hot cocoa? So kind of checking out, slowing down. And we're seeing that in real estate and in a lot of different things. And if you're anywhere near Utah, it's all stormy, snowy, tons and tons of snow, and people are slowing by not even choice, just by the happenstance of the way things are. So Amy, talk to us about some thoughts on slowing down.
Yeah, I had a great week, actually a great couple of weeks, just with specifically this. I think for the past few years, it has been so busy for everybody, that most of the time you talk to people and they just can't even see straight, like it's been so busy that everybody's doing very, very well financially, like there's a lot of, wealth generation, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of challenge, and there's a lot of problem solving. And then I just think it's so natural for us as humans, and probably like the economy, everybody knows, for this to go through these big swells and slowdowns. And I think everybody kind of gets panicked. It's a totally natural thing to do. I think when stuff starts to slow down, the economy starts to change, as interest rates go up and real estate kind of slows down and people get so worried. I was able to go to a realtors conference not that long ago for Utah Realtors Association, and they just talked about how wonderful this time is, how awesome it is for us to be able to have this time to slow down, to think, to replan, to restructure, and to really take advantage of the moments that we have with, especially now with the holidays, but our family. And just to really, instead of panicking or worrying about that, to really just take a minute and say, wow, it's been so wonderful. And we've been so blessed the past few years. And hopefully, people have, kind of put themselves in positions where they were still in a safe mode, if this were to happen. And so that they can take this time to just kind of focus on their families and maybe restructure their business or get creative with how, they're going to move forward in their lives, but really just appreciating the season that we're in. And I think it was a great speech. It was very, very inspirational. And it was just wonderful to just kind of get that perspective again, just kind of like remember that, oh, everything kind of has a season, and there's times for everything. And we just need to really pay attention to where we are and be, present in the moment, and take advantage of those things that we can do right now when we have a little bit of extra time. So
I love that. In fact, I was just looking at a post of another DTLC gal, and she had posted "God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen," that song, that Christmas song, and she focused on the rest. And then she said, just like the animals at wintertime, they go into hibernation, we need to winter our soul. And I thought that was just a beautiful phrase where we can just pause and cocoon for a minute. And Amanda's going to take us through some reflection exercises in just a minute, but being able to say, let's pause and take a breath, because it is so fast, just like you were saying, especially in the money world. And with money, it's constant. You feel like you paid your mortgage or your rent or whatever it is that you're doing, your car payment, and then boom, you're already paying it the next month. It's come so fast, right? And it can feel so fast that you're always like, and that's what creates some of that panic feeling. And instead pausing and staying in a space of gratitude. And if that panic feeling comes, and if that feeling of scarcity, or there isn't enough, or I don't know how we're going to do this, I love that you bring up this whole feel. To me, what you're saying is gratitude. Get in that gratitude space and look at what you have, your health, your relationships, your time that you're able to do, your physical well-being, your home that you're able to be in, a functioning car, all of those things, and take that time as much as you need, as repeatedly as you need to stay in the space so you don't get wigged out and can slow down. Because I don't know about you, but I find that when I'm in my slow spaces and my resting spaces, that's when the good ideas can start to surface, and I can see new ways to do things, what to cut out, what to add on, what to pursue, financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. But I get my better ideas still.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Okay, that's perfect lead in to Sweet Amanda, who wants to take us through kind of reflecting on our money journey. So Amanda, let us know your thoughts on that.
Yes, I love the idea of the slow down because it is. And then Connie, you talked about when you slow down, it allows your mind to open and all these ideas will come in. And it's so true. So I want to give you guys just a few questions while you're reflecting, because as we wind up, right, the wind up time, we're winding up this year. We don't just want to look at how fast it went. We want to really look at, okay, what went well in this year? And especially with your financial journey, right? What went well with that journey? Where do you see that you need to adjust? What are some things or some situations or experiences that you had that maybe you're saying, I think there's a better way that could happen. We could handle that. How do you create that? And what does that look like? And then putting the plan together, right? Then having that slow down, reflecting, it's going to allow you to have that opening up. So now as you're thinking, okay, this worked really well, and I'm going to give thanks for that. I'm going to be grateful because these were blessings in my life. These were things that came to me that I just absolutely loved. And then you're going to be able to have that what worked well. I mean, what needs to be adjusted. And as you look at that what needs to be adjusted piece, now you're going to be able to start looking at your plan for going into the next year. You're going to start looking at, okay, if I need to adjust this, maybe it's I need to stick to a budget. I need to create a better budget. I need to stick to a budget. And the beautiful thing is, if you're sitting at Christmas time this year and you're saying, okay, within my budget, I don't have a lot of extra money to hand my adult children. I don't have that money. That's okay. That's where you are. That's a reality. And so you're going to go through this Christmas and you're going to do, on a smaller scale, however you feel that needs to be, great. And then next year, if you wanted to do something a little different, then you're going to know that's going to work into your budget. And you're going to know that every single month you're going to be putting money away for the Christmas season and for the holiday. And that might be an area where you need to adjust. Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe you want your relationships to be more connected and more lasting. And you're going to be able to reflect on what worked well. And what do you want to adjust, and what do you want that to look like in moving forward? So asking yourself those questions really allows you to give thanks, see where you're at, what needs to change, and come up with that plan of making it move forward.
I love that. And I love the examples. If you haven't had a budget, maybe you're like, I can see we need a budget. If you've been doing a budget, you're like, the budget was not working. Go back and watch when Amanda was talking about budgets about 3 or 4 of these ago, and talking about how your budget is going to change every month to some degree because the months are different, and that's okay. So maybe it's, I need to find a budget that works better for me and for our family, and that is a little more flexible and a little bit more doable and successful for us. I love this idea of, if you're finding yourself feeling like, wow, we don't have a lot of money for Christmas that I thought that we would have, then next year's goal maybe would be, like you suggested, maybe it's $10 a month or $50 a month that you're putting away, that you say, you know what, this is the year that we actually create a holiday account and we actually start doing the thing of putting back that money each month. Even if you end up just with $500 or even $1,000, that's still, you're so much more ahead of the game than you would have been. So I love that idea of what worked in your money journey this year, and then what do you want to do differently in this coming year? And some of other specifics, if you guys have any suggestions, maybe some of those other specifics of how you track the money, not just a budget, but how do you track all your financial information? Do you put it in a binder? Do you leave it on your computer? What is the best way for you to do it? I know for me, I tried to do things online. I am a writer. I've got to touch something. So I had to have something that was actually in what I call my mom binder. And so I have my key pieces in there, and it's easy access and information. And it's so handy, because then when I have someone that's asking me a question, just the other day, my daughter's like, oh, got a new job. Where's my social security card? And I'm right in the middle of a meeting, one of these kind of meetings. I'm in a coaching meeting. And she's like, I need it right now. And I was like, ladies, hang on. And I literally reached over, down, pulled up my vital document tub, opened it up, and there's the social security card. I'm like, get ready. I got it. And she was like, okay, great. And I'm like, no, you need to celebrate this moment for 1 second. Mom has just had a power moment. This is amazing. Moms don't usually be able to do this. So I need you to celebrate for a moment. But whatever it is, being able to keep track of that information, maybe that's a goal that would help you feel more organized in your finances and know where you are. What are the loans you have? What's the loan numbers? What's the interest rate? What's the amount still owing on each of those loans? What does that all look like? When does the payment come out? So you have it all in one place and you feel like, I know what's happening with my money. All right, I love it. Rachel, we just talked about as you were on for talking about the gift giving to young adults. Amy talked about slowing down and being able to realize it's okay that the economy is slowing down a little bit. It's a natural moment. It's okay. Don't stress. Don't panic. And Amanda talked about reflecting on our money journey of the past year. What would you like to share today?
I would just like to share that there's so many things that we can do that don't cost money. And as my kids and a lot of my friends have kids that are growing up and out of the house, that doing things that, you know, together mean so much and make memories that last forever. And so I just wanted to kind of express that think about the traditions that you have in your own families and start some new ones. Like, you know, think about what you would like to do, what's important to you. An example from our family, my husband and my kids, they're very musical. And so about 15 or 17 years ago, we started doing Christmas sing-alongs, whether that be in our home and we invite friends, whether we do it at hospitals, whether we do it at, you know, it can look so different depending on year to year. And so we've done that for years and years. And we did it here in San Antonio, where we're kind of, you know, in limbo. We actually did it at our cookie shop because we don't have our big house with room to do it in. So it was kind of an odd situation. But, you know, we're singing these Christmas songs that we always sing. We're sharing with friends. It's bringing the Christmas spirit alive. And I just realized how special that is to me and how my kids love it. And, you know, they've grown up so much. Like the last song we always sing is Silent Night. And we were able to sing it in 4 or 5 different languages because of the experiences that we've had over the years. So I just really want people to think, like, you know, you don't have to spend money, and it's not necessarily about the things. Like, take time to think about what's important to you and your family and build those traditions because they'll last a lifetime.
I love that.
Mhm.
And even turning towards service and thinking, you know, we have a food bank near us. It's called Tabitha's Way. And I thought, oh, this would be a good time for us to all go over and just put a couple of hours in there and just kind of serve and not to be like, oh, we're serving, but just, again, a bonding activity. There is nothing like serving that bonds each other together. And then maybe go sledding or whatever. Sledding in Cocoa costs nothing. And watching a great old white Christmas, you know, movie that you can all, you know, get pajamas and warm blankets and just watch together. And that's still making a memory. Game night, all of those kinds of fun things that you can do, but put a little Christmas spin on it. I love that you brought up the emphasis of not involving money. How can we not involve money and still make it something that is worthwhile and meaningful and perpetuating, something that will, the gift that keeps on giving, right? Absolutely love that. Do you ladies have any other traditions that you love that don't cost money, that's something that's meaningful to you guys?
Amanda?
Sorry,
We don't have too many. We actually don't have very many traditions. Like I said, when I grew up, Christmas was like a very non-issue. It was like not a big deal. So one tradition that we do is we typically open one present on Christmas Eve. I think everybody does that. So I don't know that it's special.
Usually
but
pajamas. Yeah.
yeah, usually like the socks or the pajamas or whatever. But we don't have any super we don't have any super specific traditions, but my husband and I actually did talk about it this year as our kids get older, that we do want to create some cool traditions for our family. So it's cool. It's good to hear your guys' ideas on it.
I know, Amanda.
Yeah. So for me, I'm in a new space in my life, and with adult children, it's a little bit different. So I'm trying to create some new traditions. But in the past, my family's favorite tradition was the 12 days of Christmas. And we did it so different than most people did it. What we would do is we would go and we would buy a nativity set. And then we would take that nativity set apart into its individual pieces. And we would put the scripture with it, but then I would have my kids tell the story. So like the star, what do you think it felt like for the star to be the star that was the sign in the sky? What do you think that was like? And my kids would say something and I would jot that down on the paper. And then one night we would just leave the star. And so they would get this piece of the story every single night. And then on Christmas Eve, we didn't give anything. But on Christmas morning, we gave the baby Jesus. And my kids just loved that. They loved the knocking, they loved the running, they just absolutely loved it. And every single family that we had done this to, on that day when we reveal ourselves, they have all said, oh my word, what an amazing way to bring the Savior right into the holidays. And you just made us so excited to get to see, like, there was the scripture piece, but then you had the funny part of what your kids thought, you know, like, because we would put the age down, like as told by this age of a child. And that has always been one of my kids' favorites. And we do, you know, we've done the cookies, we've done all of these traditions. We also would always get together, and there was a neighborhood up in North Price that always they would decorate their house, but every single neighbor would have a piece of the story of the Christmas story from the scriptures. And so you would, as you would drive and look, you would see this big piece of, I don't know, probably plywood. I don't know what it was, but it was painted, decorated like a book. And then it would read that part of the story. And so, like, unto us a child is born, right? Like, and it was amazing. And so we would drive by and we'd look at Christmas lights, and then we always ended with the real reason for the season. And we would go up there and look at that. And so those were some of ours. As I have adult children and grandchildren, I'm looking to create some new ones, and what that looks like, I haven't figured that out yet. I know with my grandkids, I just started, because I do live in California and they're in Utah. We just started doing the 12 days of Christmas to them. So my boys are living there right now, and they're being my little elves and dropping things off. And we're just going to start doing the 12 days of Christmas. Seriously, we are not spending a lot of money on this. It's bubbles and a rattle, or, you know, just little tiny things that we're sending their way. So that way they can just have that and that excitement. So that's kind of what we're doing. But yeah.
I love it. And I think that draws back to that creativity of being able to say, again, this Christmas, what does that look like for us? Because I love that you simplified the 12 days of Christmas, because it started giving me PTSD, because then it became this huge thing that people were doing, like all these things for 12 days in a row. So I love that. I know some of the things that we do that are so like cost friendly, no cost at all. There's a book called Words of Christmas that we got from Deseret Book. I don't get any commission, but it has just all the words of the season. Oh, it's downstairs, but it has like light or joy or peace. And then it has scripture, and then it has a thought with it. And it's just lovely. So at night, everyone gets to choose a word of Christmas, and it just makes it simple and easy, but we focus on Christmas, and usually we're sitting by the Christmas tree. So this is a lovely thing. We also do the service straw. You do a little manger, and you cut the hay, and you have the straw, and then you just do for every good deed, you just put straw in there, and then you put baby Jesus on Christmas Day. It's so no cost, right? Except for to just do your little manger, and there's sets that can actually do it. And we've kept the same one every year, but it's so tender, especially if kids are starting to butt heads. And I'm like, oh, we need to do some service straw today to kind of reset people. Another thing we love to do is go to our local city lights. We have Festival of Lights, and it's like, I don't know, a few dollars per car. Cheesiest lights you'll ever see. It's so cute. Penguins and elephants. We don't know where they fit in the Christmas story, but it's always so fun every year to look and see, what do they got this year? I don't know. And we get some hot cocoa, and we drive through. My girls, they stand up in the sunroof, and they're singing Christmas carols to the high heavens. And it's just our thing. We do it every year, and it's super inexpensive. But again, it's another family tradition that's so fun. So consider some of these things, and then maybe even brainstorm with your own kids of what would be a good tradition for us to do that no cost or low cost. And you can even set the precedent. Maybe it's too late this year, but maybe next year you can say, you know what, we're having a no cost Christmas. We want it to be homemade. Nod to Amy there. A homemade Christmas. She's a product of it, and you can see how well she turned out. So just so you know, they can survive 1 year without an electronic device. But maybe it's a no cost Christmas. We've done Christmases where we're just doing giving machines. You know, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has those vending machines that you can buy emergency kits for people in different countries. You can buy a goat, you can buy chickens, you can buy food things for refugees, and you just purchase it just like a vending machine thing. You see it go down, and you're like, we just were able to help so-and-so in another country, and we were able to do it right there. And we do it in the name of our family members. So we say, hey, you guys just gave a goat to someone in Peru. Like, it's going to be awesome. So Anyway, lots of options and ideas, again, to make Christmas not about money, but use your money wisely and use it to create meaning and meaningful experiences. Any last thoughts, ladies, before we wrap up?
I have one. So one that we have always done, and when my kids were little, they hated it, but it has become such a sweet thing for us as well, is on Christmas morning, as everybody's waking up and we're all going down to do Christmas, we gather around the tree and we pray. And that has become such a sweet, tender tradition of my family. And just remembering what we are celebrating. Yeah.
I love that. That's cool.
That's so tender. And before all of the wrapping is, you got that set for the day of, wow, this is a very special day. And we want to remember that before the carnage begins, right? Thank you so much, ladies. We hope you viewers got some wonderful things out of that, of how to make a more meaningful Christmas and how to utilize your money for that wisely, and be able to do that reflection of what worked for you this year and what do you want to do differently for this coming year, because you can invest it, you can save it, you can use it for good. You can learn these money mindset principles because you can do greater good and have greater abundance. We so appreciate you being with us. And if you want, watch the other ones that we've done before previously, and we will be back in the new year with more money mindset mentoring. See you soon. Merry Christmas.
Bye.